The galaxy was vast, full of strange and beautiful worlds, but peace was rare. The Galactic Council claimed to be the guardian of that peace. For thousands of years, its member races had ruled the stars with pride and control. They believed they understood every intelligent species that roamed the galaxy, but that belief was about to shatter. It started as a routine patrol. The Council's flagship, Eclipsera Prime, drifted near the neutral zone. A massive silver vessel carrying ambassadors, scientists, and enforcers. Its commander, High Marshal Vethar, was a proud officer from the reptilian Krith species, known for discipline and order. One of his lieutenants, a smaller insectoid being named Trelix, approached and bowed slightly. "High Marshal," Trelix reported, his metallic voice echoing through the control deck. "Our sensors detect an unknown ship entering restricted space. No known registration. No warp signature we recognize." Vethar's eyes narrowed. "Another smuggler, perhaps. Bring them in. The Council will not tolerate intrusions." A few minutes later, the strange ship appeared on their display. A small vessel, human-made, but the Council didn't know that yet. It was old-fashioned by their standards, running on primitive fusion drives instead of clean zero-point energy. Yet there was something strange about its energy readings. They fluctuated in a way that didn't match any known design. "Target their engines and disable them," Vethar ordered. A bright pulse of blue light struck the small ship. Its engines died instantly. Within moments, tractor beams pulled it toward the docking bay of Eclipsera Prime. When the humans were brought aboard, everyone in the hangar stared. There were 6 of them, 5 men and 1 woman, all dressed in dark gray suits with the insignia of United Earth Expeditionary Command on their shoulders. They looked calm, steady, not terrified as the Council guards expected. Vethar walked forward, towering above them. "You are trespassing in Galactic Council territory. Identify your species and purpose." The man in front, tall and composed, stepped ahead. His eyes were sharp and steady. "I'm Commander Elias Trent of the human vessel Dauntless. We were on an exploratory mission. We didn't know this space was restricted. Human." Vethar repeated the word slowly, as if tasting it. He turned to his aides. "I've never heard of this race in the archives. Primitive, no doubt." Trelix tapped his datapad. "They come from a system called Sol on the edge of the Orion Spur. Barely interstellar. Records show minimal contact with other species." Vethar smirked. "Then they are lucky we found them first." The humans exchanged looks. Commander Trent's face stayed calm, but inside his mind was racing. He had already activated a silent transmission on his wrist communicator before being captured. It was a coded distress signal. If the Council tried anything, Earth would know. The crew was led to holding cells, bright, sterile rooms with transparent walls. From there, they could see other species moving through the halls, tall beings with crystalline bodies, winged creatures, and reptilian officers. The humans were being studied like animals in a lab. One of the human scientists, Dr. Lena Park, whispered, "They think we're weak." Commander Trent nodded slowly. "Let them. The message is already on its way home." In the grand chamber of the Council, the capture of the humans caused minor curiosity. Many thought it was insignificant, just another primitive world stumbling into advanced space. Ambassador Relthor of the Vereen species, however, found the situation interesting. The Vereen were tall and silver-skinned, with eyes that glowed faintly. They were philosophers among the Council. He watched the recording of the human capture. "They are too calm," he murmured. "Most new species panic when they face us. These humans did not." Another ambassador laughed. "Perhaps they are too simple to understand the danger they're in." Relthor said nothing, but he felt a quiet unease. Something about those human eyes, steady, unflinching, reminded him of predators he had seen long ago on his homeworld. Meanwhile, in the holding cell, Trent's crew sat around the small energy field that separated them from freedom. Engineer Maya Reed leaned against the wall. "Sir, do you think Earth received our signal?" Trent checked the small light on his wrist device. It blinked once every few seconds. "They got it," he said confidently. "And they're not going to ignore it." Maya smiled slightly. "I almost feel sorry for these aliens." Trent gave her a calm look. "Don't. They made their choice when they fired on us." Outside, guards walked past, sneering. They didn't know the humans were quietly observing everything. Guard shifts, surveillance angles, the control patterns of the doors. To the untrained eye, they looked like prisoners waiting for judgment. To Trent, it was reconnaissance. Later, in the main council hall, High Marshal Vethar reported proudly, "We have detained the intruders. Their technology is primitive. Their weapons are crude. Their ship carries no threat." The council leader, Chancellor Marvek, nodded. "Excellent. Dissect their systems. Learn what we can. If necessary, relocate them to a research facility." Ambassador Relthor raised a hand. "Chancellor, if I may. Should we not first attempt proper communication? We know nothing of their homeworld, their politics, or their allies." Marvek smiled. "You worry too much, Relthor. No such species could possibly threaten the council." Relthor glanced at the recording again. In the background, he noticed something, a faint light blinking on the commander's wristband. He frowned. "Perhaps," he said softly, "but underestimating the unknown has destroyed many empires." Back in the cell, time passed slowly. The humans shared quiet conversation. Dr. Park spoke in a low voice. "Do you think they'll hurt us?" Trent shook his head. "No, they'll study us first. But that's fine. Every minute we buy gives Earth more time." "More time for what?" another crew member asked. Trent looked up, his expression hardening. "For humanity to prepare." Far across the void, light years away, the Pacific Defense Command deep beneath Earth's oceans came alive with alarms. The encoded signal from the Dauntless had been received. Within minutes, Admiral Kira Voss was on the command deck. "Confirm source." "Confirmed, Admiral. Signal ID matches Commander Trent's code. His ship has been captured near the Tarthus system. Unknown alien power involved." Voss stood in silence for a moment, then turned to her officers. "Bring the fleet online. Activate Project Iron Dawn." A technician hesitated. "Ma'am, that's a full mobilization." "I know," she said firmly. "If they've touched our people, we move." Across the planet, hidden bases awakened. Massive space docks opened their armored doors. Ships that had been hidden from the galaxy for decades powered up, their engines glowing like blue suns. Humanity had always prepared for the day the stars would not be friendly. That day had come. On communication networks around Earth and its colonies, a phrase began to spread again, an old saying born from humanity's long history of struggle and pride. "We don't start wars among the stars, but we finish them." Back aboard Eclipsora Prime, the guards laughed as they passed the human cell. "Such fragile creatures," one hissed. "They look harmless." Commander Trent watched them walk away, his eyes calm and cold. "Harmless?" he whispered under his breath. "You'll learn soon enough." He leaned back against the wall, looking at his crew. "Get ready. We're not alone anymore." Outside the viewport, the stars shimmered silently. Somewhere among them, the might of Earth was already on its way. And the Galactic Council, in its arrogance, had no idea that it had just provoked the most dangerous species in the galaxy, the humans. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in the command center known as Earth Defense Corps, the air was tense. Giant screens glowed with maps of the Milky Way. Dozens of officers worked at their stations, voices low but steady. At the center of it all stood Admiral Kira Voss. She was tall, with silver hair tied back neatly, and eyes that reflected the calm of a person who had seen many storms. She had commanded fleets before, but this was different. This was personal. She stared at the incoming message on the holographic screen. Distress signal, source, Commander Elias Trent. Status, captured. Location, Eclipsora Prime. Her voice was cold but clear. "How many light years away?" 12,000, Admiral," said her second officer, Commander Rajan Malik. "Council territory. Their communication grid blocks all unapproved access. We'll need to go in quietly." Admiral Voss nodded slowly. "Prepare Task Force Phoenix. I want every stealth cruiser and long-range carrier ready to launch within 12 hours. No official declaration. This is a rescue." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what those words meant. Humanity was moving, not in defense but with intent. Earth unites. For decades, humanity had watched the stars carefully. They had learned from history. Never again would they be unprepared for an unknown threat. After the first warp test a century ago, world leaders had signed the Terran Accord, a secret alliance meant to unite all of Earth's nations against any cosmic danger. Many had doubted it would ever be needed. But now, for the first time, the Accord was being activated. Across Earth's surface and colonies, encrypted orders were transmitted to bases hidden from public eyes. The skies above Mars turned red as massive hangars opened. releasing sleek warships that shimmered with adaptive camouflage. On the moon, in the underground base of Luna Command, engineers powered up the Iron Dawn fleet, Earth's strongest and most advanced armada. Created in secrecy over 50 years, each ship bore the same emblem, a blue Earth encircled by silver stars. Humanity's promise, to protect its own, no matter the distance. A message to the world. Admiral Voss stood before a global transmission unit. Every leader of the Terran Accord appeared as holograms around her, faces of men and women from every continent united by one goal. "We have a situation," she said firmly. 6 of our people have been captured by a galactic power calling itself the Council. They don't know who we are. They don't respect our sovereignty. That ends today. President Amir Khan of the United Nations Alliance leaned forward. "Are we declaring war, Admiral?" Voss shook her head. "No, not unless they force us to. But make no mistake, we will bring our people home. Peace is only respected when backed by strength." The room was quiet for a long moment. Then, one by one, the leaders nodded. "Earth stands united," the president said. Voss gave a small nod. "Then Iron Dawn begins." The preparation in orbit, shipyards came alive. Thousands of drones worked tirelessly to prepare cruisers, carriers, and dreadnoughts. Engineers tested shields, AI cores, and propulsion drives. Each ship was equipped with the Spectre Cloak, an invisibility field capable of bending light and sensor waves, technology that no other species in the galaxy had yet mastered. Inside one of the command ships, the Resolute, Captain Hannah Wells oversaw the final preparations. "Fleet systems nominal," her AI assistant reported. "Good," she said. "The Admiral wants full silence on comms. We launch in 8 hours. This is a ghost mission." From the large window of her ship, she could see the curve of Earth below, blue oceans, white clouds, and continents glowing under the sun. She whispered softly, "We're coming for you. Commander Trent." Meanwhile, aboard Eclipsera Prime, Commander Elias Trent sat quietly in his cell, staring at the glowing wall that separated him from freedom. His mind was sharp, calm. He had served in Earth's Space Corps for over 20 years, and he knew one truth above all: humans never left their own behind. The guards outside his cell spoke in a language he didn't understand, but he caught their tone, mocking, dismissive. They thought they were superior. Trent smiled faintly. "Keep thinking that," he murmured. Dr. Lena Park was beside him, working on something with pieces of her communication badge. "If I can just reroute the energy flow," she said softly, "I might be able to short this barrier for a few seconds." Trent glanced at her work. "You're a biologist, not an engineer." She smiled without looking up. "I read a few manuals." He nodded approvingly. "That's the spirit. The human crew didn't wait to be rescued. They planned, observed, and adapted, just as humanity always had. The Council's view in the Council's main chamber, tension was building. Reports had begun to arrive from the border regions, strange sensor anomalies, missing scout ships, and communication blackouts. High Marshal Vithar frowned. "Could it be pirates?" Ambassador Relthor shook his head slowly. "No, these incidents are too clean. No signs of violence. Entire fleets go dark, their systems disabled, their crews unharmed. Someone is testing us." Chancellor Marvek waved his hand dismissively. "Nonsense. The galaxy is full of unknowns. Perhaps it is a natural phenomenon." Relthor looked uneasy. "Perhaps. Or perhaps it is connected to the new species we captured." Marvek laughed lightly. "You think those fragile creatures are capable of this? They don't even have subspace drives." Relthor sighed quietly. "History has taught me that arrogance blinds even the powerful." The signal on Eclipsera Prime, Dr. Park's improvised device, flickered to life. A small spark jumped from the wall, and for 2 seconds, the energy barrier shimmered. It wasn't enough to escape, but it was enough to send a short encrypted burst through the ship's comm network. Trent smiled. "That'll do." Moments later, deep in the void, a Terran stealth probe intercepted the burst and relayed it instantly to Admiral Voss's fleet. Inside the Resolute, alarms chimed softly. "Admiral," said Commander Malik, "we've got it. The Dauntless crew is alive." "Coordinates confirmed," Voss nodded. "Good. Set course for the Eclipsera system. All fleets engage cloak. No transmissions until contact." The stars outside stretched into lines as the fleet jumped into faster-than-light travel. the awakening across human colonies and outposts. People began to whisper about what was happening. The truth could not be kept hidden for long. Old soldiers were recalled. Scientists checked systems that hadn't been powered in decades. The people of Earth were not panicking, they were preparing. From miners on Mars to engineers on Titan, one message echoed through every channel. Our people are out there. We will bring them home. It was no longer just a rescue mission. It was a statement to the galaxy. Humanity had entered the stars not as conquerors, but as survivors, and no one would ever take their kind again. First signs as the fleet moved silently through deep space. The ships passed several Council patrol routes. Each time, their AI systems jammed and blinded the enemy sensors with flawless precision. The patrol ships never even knew they had been watched. Inside Eclipsera Prime, Relthor received another troubling report. "Hi, Marshal," said Trelix nervously. "2 border outposts have gone completely dark. No damage, no distress calls, just silence," Vethar scowled. "It must be a system failure." Relthor folded his hands. "Or someone is coming." The yom before the storm back on the flagship Eclipsera Prime, Commander Trent and his crew waited patiently. The Council guards mocked them, confident in their power. But the humans could feel it, the faint vibration under their feet, a pulse that wasn't from the ship's engines. It was the ripple of space-time caused by incoming warp signatures. Trent stood up slowly and smiled for the first time since their capture. "They're here," he whispered. Dr. Park frowned. "How do you know?" He looked out through the glass wall at the distant stars. "Because I know my people." The darkness of space was calm and silent as the Terran fleet moved through it. Hidden behind layers of stealth technology, the massive ships glided without leaving a trace. Each vessel carried a symbol, a silver Earth surrounded by stars, glowing faintly on their hulls. At the front of the formation was the flagship Resolute, led by Admiral Kira Voss. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp as she looked over the holographic map of the enemy's position. The Galactic Council's fleet surrounded their central command ship, Eclipsera Prime, unaware that humans were now only hours away. Commander Rajan Malik stepped beside her. "Admiral, our cloaking field is holding. Council scanners won't see us even if we pass right in front of them." "Good," Voss said quietly. "Then we move closer. The moment we confirm Trent's location, we act." Outside the large viewing window, the stars shone faintly. Between them, shadows moved, Earth's ships preparing for their first battle beyond the solar system. Inside the prison ship on Eclipsera Prime, Commander Elias Trent sat against the cold wall of his cell. His uniform was torn, but his spirit was unbroken. He had been watching the guards carefully for days, noting their habits, timing, and routines. Dr. Lena Park, still working with the broken pieces of her communicator, managed to create a small spark again. "Sir, I think I can open a short power surge in the door system." "It won't last long, maybe 10 seconds, Trent smiled. 10 seconds might be all we need. The human crew had waited long enough. They knew Earth's fleet was coming, but they also knew that help meant nothing if they didn't survive long enough to be rescued. "Get ready," Trent said firmly. "When the lights flicker, we move." The Council's growing fear in the Council's command center, reports kept arriving. Strange, confusing, and impossible to explain. Patrol fleets were losing contact. Entire stations had gone silent without a single shot fired. High Marshal Vethar slammed his clawed hand against the table. "What is happening out there?" Trelix, his insectoid officer, trembled slightly. "High Marshal, we've scanned the sectors. There are no ships, no energy readings, no signs of attack. It's like something invisible is passing through our space." Ambassador Relthor entered the chamber, his silver eyes calm. "I warned you," he said softly. "This is not coincidence. Something intelligent is at work." Vethar glared at him. "You think the humans are behind this?" "Impossible. Their ship was primitive." Relthor looked out the viewing window into the endless blackness of space. "And yet their silence is our warning. They are not as weak as you believe." The shadow fleet far beyond the Council's sensors, the Terran fleet positioned itself in a perfect formation. Each ship was invisible, its engines running silent. "Targets locked," Captain Hannah Wells reported aboard the Resolute. "Eclipsera Prime in range. No sign they've detected us." "Begin Phase 1, Admiral Voss ordered. Instantly, hundreds of tiny drones launched from the human ships, Spectre units, small machines designed for stealth infiltration. They spread across the void like dust, slipping into the Council's networks through communication relays and satellite channels. Within minutes, the drones had reached Eclipsera Prime. Inside the alien systems, their codes spread quietly. Lights flickered. Monitors flashed. Council technicians looked up in confusion. "What's happening to the control grid?" "Unknown error," one shouted. "Power levels are fluctuating." Vethar leaned forward. "Run diagnostics." Before anyone could respond, the ship's main display suddenly went black. Then words appeared in bright white letters, translated perfectly into every Council language. "Release our people." The room went silent. Relthor's expression tightened. "They warned us." The escape at that same moment in the prison bay, Dr. Park's device sparked again. The energy barrier on the human cell flickered and vanished. "Now!" Trent shouted. The human crew rushed out. In seconds, they overpowered the two guards outside, quick, efficient, no unnecessary violence. They moved through the corridors, following the schematics they had memorized from their earlier observations. The alarms began to blare, but the humans were fast. They reached the control chamber and locked the doors behind them. Trent quickly began working on the central console. "Can you fly this thing?" Maya Reed asked, watching him bypass alien systems. Trent grinned slightly. "No, but I can make it listen to me." He connected the last wire from his communicator to the console. "Let's give them something to talk about." Moments later, Eclipsera Prime's internal systems came alive under human control. Doors sealed, weapons locked, and the ship's main communication channel opened. Across all frequencies, Commander Trent's voice echoed clearly. "This is Commander Elias Trent of the United Earth Expeditionary Command. To the Galactic Council, release your hold on our people and stand down." The Council officers froze. His voice was calm, not angry, but full of confidence. Relthor stared at the screen, his mind racing. "They've taken control of one of our flagships. With nothing but improvised tools," Vethar growled in disbelief. "Impossible." But it was true. The first strike outside the ship, the Council fleet scrambled into formation. Hundreds of alien vessels moved to defend Eclipsera Prime. "Multiple warp signatures detected," shouted a Council officer. "From where?" Vethar demanded. "All around us." Then out of the empty space, the Terran fleet appeared. One by one, massive human ships decloaked, surrounding the Council armada. Their sleek black hulls reflected starlight as their engines glowed blue. The aliens froze in shock. Bethar's eyes widened. How did they get this close without being seen?" Relthor's voice was quiet. "You underestimated them." Admiral Voss's voice came over every channel, clear and calm. "Galactic Council, this is Admiral Kira Voss of the Terran Fleet. You are holding citizens of Earth. Release them immediately, or we will remove them ourselves." The Council fleet opened fire in panic. Energy beams and plasma blasts filled the void. But the human ships moved with impossible precision, their shields absorbing the attacks effortlessly. "Return fire," Voss said calmly. But instead of destructive beams, the Terran ships fired ion disruptors, non-lethal weapons that disabled enemy systems without causing casualties. One by one, Council ships went dark, their engines shutting down, their weapons silenced. The humans weren't here to destroy. They were here to prove a point. The turning point inside Eclipsera Prime. Commander Trent and his crew felt the vibrations as the battle raged outside. "Sir," Dr. Park said, smiling through exhaustion. "Our people made it." Trent nodded. "Told you they'd come." Through the window they saw flashes of light, Council ships going dark, human vessels moving like shadows between them. It wasn't a war. It was a lesson. The Council's great armada, proud and ancient, was powerless before the discipline and technology of a united humanity. Relthor watched in silence from the command hall. "They could destroy us easily," he whispered, "yet they don't. Why?" Vethar growled. "They are showing mercy." Relthor shook his head. "No, they are showing control. That is what makes them dangerous." The rescue in. The middle of the battle, a small Terran shuttle broke formation and flew straight toward Eclipsera Prime. "Docking sequence locked," Captain Hannawell said. "We've got them." The shuttle latched onto the Council ship's side, cutting a small entry hole. Moments later, human Marines entered the corridor, moving swiftly and silently. When they reached the control chamber, Trent stood waiting. "Commander," one of the Marines said, saluting. "Admiral Voss sent us." Trent smiled. "Took you long enough. Sir, we'll get you home." The human crew boarded the shuttle and left the Council flagship behind. As they exited, the Resolute transmitted one final message to all Council systems. "We do not seek war, but we protect our own." The silence. After when the last human ship disappeared into warp space, the galaxy fell quiet again. Dozens of Council ships drifted powerless, their systems frozen by harmless ion bursts. No one was injured, but every commander was humbled. In the main chamber, Relthor stared at the blank screen where the human's message had appeared. He spoke softly to Vethar. "They could have destroyed us, yet they chose not to. That is strength of the rarest kind." Vethar said nothing. He only looked at the distant stars, fear and respect mixing in his eyes. Far across the galaxy, in the deep calm of space, the Terran fleet reassembled. The humans had won without slaughter, without rage, only with unity, intelligence, and calm precision. Commander Trent stood on the bridge of the Resolute beside Admiral Voss. "Permission to speak freely, Admiral?" he asked. Voss smiled faintly. "Always, Commander." He looked out the window where the stars stretched endlessly. "They'll never forget this day." "No," Voss said quietly. "The galaxy just met humanity and learned what happens when you threaten one of us." The stars outside shimmered again as the fleet turned toward home. For now the humans were done fighting, but the legend of Earth's most dangerous species had just begun. The galaxy was no longer quiet. Across the systems, whispers and alarms raced faster than light. Reports of entire fleets going dark without casualties, stations disabled without destruction, and an unknown species that moved like shadows spread panic among Council worlds. The Galactic Council, proud and confident for centuries, was beginning to realize its mistake. Rumors and panic on the Council's homeworld. Diplomats and commanders gathered in the main hall. Screens flashed with reports. Sensor anomalies, missing patrols, and strange transmissions that repeated a single phrase. "We do not seek war, but we protect our own." High Marshal Vethar paced angrily. "How can this be possible? We have the greatest technology in known space." Ambassador Relthor, calm as ever, watched the young officers squirm. "You miscalculated. You thought this species was primitive. But humans are survivors." Vethar stopped, scowling. "Survivors? They can barely travel between stars." Relthor's silver eyes glinted. "You fail to understand. They survive everything. Their own disasters, the harshest worlds, the deadliest diseases. They adapt, and now, they adapt across the stars." Across the Council chambers, leaders murmured uneasily. Worlds that had once laughed at humanity now feared them. Every system wondered, if Earth could do this to the Council fleets, what else could they do? Humanity's message far beyond the Council. In orbit around a neutral world, the Terran fleet regrouped. Admiral Kira Voss addressed her officers and captains. "Listen carefully," she said. "This was not a battle of destruction. This was a message: humanity protects its own. No one may harm a human without consequence. That is all. No conquest, no revenge, only protection." Captain Hannah Wells nodded. "Our first strike was clean. No deaths, no permanent damage. Only control." Voss allowed herself a small smile. "Exactly. Let them fear us but not hate us. Fear brings respect. Respect brings stability." The human ships powered down their stealth fields for a brief moment, allowing distant worlds to detect them. The message spread silently across communications and subspace channels. Humanity had made contact not to conquer, but to warn, and the galaxy had noticed. Council worlds question authority on the planet Tarnus, a wealthy Council member world. A delegation watched the reports in shock. "Vethar underestimates them," said one commander. "Entire fleets disabled without violence. How?" A councilwoman responded softly. "It isn't just technology. It is coordination, patience, and intelligence. They are different." Rumors reached distant systems. Humans could work as one mind, predicting and countering threats faster than any known species. Planets that had relied on the Council for protection began reconsidering their allegiance. Relthor recorded his observations. "We believed we were strong. We believed our fleets unbeatable. We were wrong. This species, humans, does not fight for glory. They fight for survival, and that makes them unstoppable. Eclipsora Prime reclaimed back on Eclipsora Prime. The human crew had completed their escape. Commander Trent oversaw the retrieval of their small shuttle and ensured that every council system they touched remained operational, but under human control until the ship was fully evacuated. He paused at the control deck, looking at the blinking lights. The council officers, once confident, now stood frozen. Dr. Lena Park leaned over him. "They didn't even touch them," she said. "No harm, just control," Trent nodded. "We don't destroy. We make a point. The message is stronger this way. Pain convinces no one. Respect does." A council lieutenant finally found his voice. You could have killed us all." Trent's gaze was steady. "Yes, but we don't kill to prove a point. You will remember this day because you are alive. Survival is the strongest teacher." A council in chaos feather stormed through the command halls. Reports of malfunctioning ships, confused patrols, and disabled stations filled every screen. His pride and authority were being questioned, and he hated it. "We must strike back," he roared. Relthor's voice was calm, cutting through the chaos. "Do you not see? The humans are not just powerful. They are deliberate. Every action they take is calculated. You cannot fight them with brute force alone," Vethar growled. "Then what do you propose?" Relthor looked away. "We must observe, learn, and adapt, or risk losing everything. Human ingenuity in deep space far from council detection. The Terran fleet prepared to return home. Every crew member knew the importance of what they had done. Commander Trent addressed his team. "Today we proved we can survive anything, but survival alone is not enough. We must teach the galaxy that humanity is united. Every human, every ship, every colony, together." Engineer Maya Reed smiled. "We showed them patience, planning, and skill, and they learned to fear us without a single casualty." Trent nodded. "Exactly. Fear is the first step toward respect. And respect saves lives." The council's realization, meanwhile, Ambassador Relthor met secretly with representatives of several other species in the council. "They are unlike anything we have ever seen," he said. "Primitive? Perhaps in technology. Weak? Never. United? Completely. And clever beyond measure." One diplomat whispered, "Do you suggest we negotiate with them?" Relthor shook his head. "No, we cannot yet. But we must recognize the truth. Humanity cannot be controlled, cannot be intimidated, and must be respected." Across the galaxy, that respect was already spreading. Worlds that had ignored Earth now wondered, if humans could do this, what might they do next? The return journey, the Terran fleet traveled back toward Earth at full warp. Commander Trent sat with Admiral Voss on the bridge of the Resolute. "Did they understand the lesson?" Trent asked quietly. Voss nodded. "Yes, but fear will linger longer than understanding. You gave them a gift, the chance to rethink their arrogance." Trent looked out at the stars. "They won't forget us. And neither will the galaxy." Voss smiled faintly. "Let them remember. Let them respect what humans stand for. Unity, intelligence, and the will to survive." The stars streaked past the fleet as they jumped through faster than light space. Earth was still far away, but the message had already traveled across thousands of light years. Humanity had proven itself, and the galaxy could no longer see them as weak or primitive. The legend grows back on the captured council worlds, systems slowly rebooted. Council officers whispered in fear of what humans were capable of. Even those far from the conflict began to change their tone when the word human appeared in their communications. Relthor recorded one final note before leaving the chamber. "We thought we had captured them. We thought we had trapped a primitive species. But in doing so, we awakened a force the galaxy was not prepared to face. Humans do not need to fight to be dangerous. They need only exist in unity and intelligence, and that is more terrifying than any weapon." Across distant planets, those who had dismissed Earth now paused, considering the reality of the species they had once mocked. Humans were patient. Humans were clever. Humans were united. And for the first time in council history, many began to wonder, could humans actually dominate the stars? The calm. After the storm on the bridge of the Resolute, Trent and his crew finally allowed themselves a moment of rest. The battle had ended without bloodshed, but the impact was unmistakable. Humanity's reputation had spread farther than any fleet, faster than any fleet. Dr. Park looked out at the distant stars. "Do you think they'll come after us?" Trent shook his head. Not yet. They will watch, they will learn, they will respect us. And that is enough. Voss placed a hand on his shoulder. Today, you reminded the galaxy that humans are not to be underestimated. And tomorrow, we make sure that lesson is never forgotten. As the fleet continued toward Earth, shadows of fear and respect followed them. Across the Council worlds, the story of what had happened spread. Humankind was no longer a small, primitive species in the galaxy. They were a force to be reckoned with. Intelligent, united, and utterly unstoppable when their own were threatened. And somewhere, deep in space, the seeds of future legends had already been sown. The council chambers on the capital world of Elindra Prime were filled with tension. The most powerful leaders of the galaxy had gathered, their long robes and elaborate uniforms a display of centuries of tradition and pride. Yet none looked entirely comfortable. A single, unassuming ship appeared in orbit above the planet, its dark hull glinting in the sun. It was the Resolute, flagship of the Terran fleet, and inside it Admiral Kira Voss and Commander Elias Trent prepared to make history. "This is it," Trent said quietly, staring at the viewports. "The Council thinks we come for vengeance. We come to show them something stronger, unity, discipline, and truth." Voss nodded. "We do not seek war. Only justice for our people and recognition for our kind." The arrival, the Council fleet below, was tense. Vessels lined the orbit in defensive formation, weapons primed, shields charged. Even High Marshal Vethar, once so confident, felt unease as the human ship slowly approached the planet's capital. "Why are they not attacking?" Vethar demanded. "They could have destroyed us already." Ambassador Relthor, standing calmly beside him, shook his head. "Because they do not seek destruction. They demand respect, and they have the power to enforce it." On the bridge of the Resolute, Trent activated a secure comm channel. His voice echoed clearly across every council system. "Leaders of the Galactic Council, this is Commander Elias Trent of the United Earth Expeditionary Command. We do not seek war. We do not seek conquest. We come to retrieve our people and ensure no human is ever harmed again." Silence filled the council chambers. The room was filled with leaders who had ruled unchallenged for centuries, yet a quiet, uneasy realization began to settle in. The council responds. Chancellor Marvek's voice broke the silence. "You claim to speak for your people, yet you appear as if prepared for battle. Why should we trust you?" Voss responded calmly, her voice clear and firm. "You should trust us because we acted with precision and restraint. Your fleets were disabled without loss of life. Your ships were left intact. You saw our power, yet we did not kill. That is the way humanity operates. Strength backed by control, not cruelty. Respect is earned, not demanded." A murmur spread across the chamber. Many leaders had not expected this. Humans were not aggressive conquerors. They were disciplined, strategic, and united. And now they stood outside the council's gates, waiting silent but unstoppable. The rescue, meanwhile. On the outskirts of the capital world, the human captives from Eclipsera Prime were escorted by Terran Marines. Commander Trent led them personally, moving swiftly but carefully through the orbital docks. "Stay close and stay quiet," Trent instructed. "We do this without creating enemies. We already have their attention. We don't need their hatred." Dr. Lena Park looked around wide-eyed. "They're watching everything, aren't they?" "Yes," Trent said calmly. "And now they are learning." The humans boarded the Resolute, their faces a mix of relief and awe. They had survived the impossible. The galaxy thought them weak, but humans had proven otherwise. The show of power back in the Council's chambers. Reports came in of the Terran fleet forming an unbreakable defensive perimeter around the capital. Every ship, visible now, was fully operational and ready. Yet there was no aggression. Relthor leaned over a console reading the fleet's logs. "They could obliterate us if they chose," he said quietly. "Yet they do not. That is not weakness. That is the true measure of a species that understands itself." Vethar's claws drummed against the table. "They flaunt their power like a warning. They are daring us to respond." Relthor shook his head. "No, they are teaching us. Humanity never strikes first unless provoked. But when they act, their precision is absolute." The room fell silent once more. Even the Council's proudest leaders could feel it. A fear mixed with respect, an understanding that they had miscalculated humanity's reach and will. The message of Peace Admiral Voss and Commander Trent finally addressed the Galactic Council face to face. transmitted through holographic projection to the assembly below. Trent spoke first. We do not seek your destruction. We do not seek revenge. We come as one species united, asking for recognition and respect. From this day forward, no human shall be harmed, no human shall be enslaved, and no human shall be used as a pawn in interstellar politics. That is our law, our message, and our right. Voss added, we came with the power to enforce this message. You have seen it. We have disabled your fleets, controlled your ships, and rescued our people. Yet no lives were lost. That is the power of humanity. Strength tempered with discipline, intelligence guided by unity. Learn it well, for the galaxy will see more of us in the years to come. The council, except silence, followed for a long moment. Then slowly Chancellor Marvek spoke. Perhaps we underestimated this species. Perhaps we judged them unfairly. Relthor stood, addressing the assembly. We have captured humans. We have studied them. And yet they are more dangerous than any weapon we possess. Not because of anger or aggression, but because of their unity, intelligence, and will to survive. We must respect them. We must learn from them. And we must grant them their rightful place. One by one, other ambassadors nodded. The message was clear. Humanity would not be attacked. Humanity would not be ignored. The Galactic Council, humbled and shaken, had no choice but to comply. A new seat at the council later, aboard the Resolute, Trent and Voss reflected on the day's events. The council had agreed to recognize humanity as a full member species and grant Earth a permanent seat in the assembly. Trent's voice was quiet, but filled with pride. We didn't conquer them. We didn't destroy them. And yet we changed their view of humanity forever. Voss smiled. That's how we lead, Commander. Not with fear alone, but with intelligence, patience, and unity. Today we reminded the galaxy that humans are not just survivors. We are protectors. Outside the ship's window, the stars stretched endlessly. Somewhere among them, the council fleets were recalibrating, reevaluating every plan they had ever made. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Legacy Begins reports came in from council worlds. Planets that once ignored Earth were now cautious and respectful. The word human carried weight, warning, and admiration. Relthor, in his private quarters, recorded his final thoughts for history. We thought we had captured them. We believed they were a primitive species, weak and compliant. We were wrong. Humanity acts with intelligence, discipline, and unity. They are protective of their own. They are dangerous not because they seek war, but because they will act decisively to defend themselves and their people. The galaxy must remember this. The humans of Earth are a force unlike any other, and we provoked them at our peril. Across distant systems, whispers began. The humans were no longer just a planet of fledgling explorers. They were a united, unstoppable species, Earth's finest, and now officially, a power to be reckoned with. Returned to Earth, the Terran fleet returned home, escorted by silent council ships now aware of humanity's true strength. Commander Trent stood on the bridge of the Resolute, looking at his home planet, blue and white, shining with promise. Dr. Park came beside him. We did it, she said softly. Trent nodded. Yes, we brought our people home. And we reminded the galaxy who humans are. They will not forget it. Admiral Voss placed a hand on his shoulder. They will respect it. That is what matters. Strength without control is meaningless. Today, humans showed the galaxy both. From orbit, the ships descended toward Earth. Cities and bases lit up below, welcoming the fleet that had returned victorious, not through destruction, but through intelligence, unity, and courage. The final message as they approached, Commander Trent activated the fleet's long-range broadcast. Across the Milky Way, every listening vessel and planet received the message. Humanity protects its own. Do not mistake patience for weakness. Respect the species that survives against all odds. We are united, we are vigilant, and we will act when necessary. Let this be a lesson to all. The words echoed across the galaxy, a warning and a promise. Somewhere far away, High Marshal Vethar and his officers listened in silence. Fear, respect, and awe mingled in their eyes. They had learned the hard truth. The humans of Earth were the most dangerous species, not because they sought to conquer, but because they would never allow their own to be harmed. and the galaxy would never forget it.